All right, so got to get a little mowing done today, but I got to change the oil in the mower first. Figured I'd show you this while the oil was cooling down. I let it run for a little bit to get it warm. But it's the Gravely ZTX, the 52-inch deck. Of course, your turn. Picked it up from Brown's small engine repair here in Rapid City. You gotta excuse the mess in the background too. Still moving stuff around from winter. But anyway, just a little walk around, show a little bit about it, and then when we waiting for it to drain, I'll tell you some more specs on it and stuff like that. But right now I got the garage door behind me closed, so the light's not so bad on the camera. But it's got the Kawasaki, the 23 horsepower motor. This is what they said at the dealer. They make two, actually. They make one that's got the Kawasaki and one that's got the Kohler. They said actually more people are going to the Kawasaki motor just for dependability and durability and things like that. So anyway, that's the one I went with. Same horsepower, I believe. Well, it may be a horsepower. The Kohler may be 22 or 21 horsepower, but anyway. And easy fill for the gas. And so I'll show you where everything is on here. So you can actually just raise the seat up. And it's got a smaller than usual battery. And it's just kind of small for what I would expect for a lawnmower to have. Our other mower had quite a much bigger battery, but it does have space if we want to get, I guess, a normal size one. So there's the battery, fuel filter. If you need to change that, suggest in the manual changing it annually. So I'll probably go ahead and I'll change that at the beginning of season next year. Right now I'm just doing the 8-hour service break-in. So that's all we're going to do today is just the oil, but I'm showing you where everything is. And then if we come on around the motor, one spark plug housing right here. That's where one of the spark plugs lives. And on the other side, it's just mirrored spark plug housing right here. So next season, before I start mowing, I'll change those out as well. They actually sell a kit that comes with oil, spark plugs, air filters, everything you need, fuel filter. It's like a little combo kit, and it's like, I think it's like 90 bucks, and it's got everything you need. Whereas if you buy it separate, it's like 130 or 140. And then here is the air filter. It lives in here. You can see it's kind of dusty already. That's the factory one. You can get other ones that have more of a pre-filter. I mean, this one's got that metal housing wrapping around it, but you can get some that have like a, I guess a piece of foam on the outside to kind of as a pre-filter. But it's got your standard clip holding hose clamp with the screwdriver holding it on. But I'll show y'all taking that off next when I get ready to start it up next year. But everything's pretty accessible, easy to get to. Changing the oil. Some people complain about it. It's kind of weird. The oil filter's here, which isn't too bad. Right here is the actual drain plug. I'm gonna stick this down in here and see if you can tell. So that comes with a hose you can attach, and so you just undo that little bolt, and it lets your oil flow out and down. Some individuals, they don't put this hose on here, they just try to let it run out, which can or can't work. I wanted to use the hose and try it out, see how it does. I think it'll do all right. So anyway, and then there's the oil fill cap, which will loosen all that stuff up here in a little bit. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to change the oil, see how that goes. Hopefully I don't destroy the lawnmower, but I think it's going to be okay. Probably going to have to get some towels and stick under the oil filter so it runs out in the right fashion so it doesn't get all over everything. It does have a little spout up under the filter. It's supposed to help direct, but I don't want to get anything to get on the transmission down there. So I'm probably going to put some towels down just to make sure. And I've got it running out, of course, to my little collector. So anyway, there's that. Oh, and I'll go over the controls since we're here. let's see, that's choke. You got to start, your headlights, accessories, and then the start button, your choke or your throttle, idle, cut, blade disengagement, engagement, and then you have your hours. It's 6.3 right now. They recommend doing this at 8, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it now. Just a little early, keep it going. I don't want it to get messed up. Let's see, anything else? Oh, the adjustments on the new ones are you can raise the arms up and down and kind of tilt them however you need them. So I've got them set. Oh, and the seat has 2 types of adjustments. You can do the fixed adjustment and move the seat this direction. And then also it's got an adjustment with the handle that you can just pull up and adjust how you need it to go. So it fits me pretty good. I mean, I'm 6'2", and I fit in here just fine. Buzz around like a little go-kart. So if I know if it'll pull my big self, it'll pull anybody. Here is the height selection for the deck. It does 1.5 to 4.5 inches. I'm OR yard sitting at about 4 inches, just because we're a little drier things. So I don't want to kill the grass. So to change it, you just, when you're sitting on it, you can just press down on this with your foot and it'll raise the deck up, and you put it in whatever slot and you let it back down and it locks it in. So yeah, that's how you do that. Fuel gauge, or a fuel, see how much fuel you got. They've got it right here up front to tell you how much fuel you got when you're walking up to it, which is nice. Let's see. All right, so got the wrench on there. It's a 10 millimeter. Just stuck it on the end here. You're gonna lift up, and hopefully we turn this a little bit, and let's see if I can get it with my hand now. Yeah. Yeah, oh yeah, there we go. We got some flow. It's flowing out. We'll open this to open up the vacuum, so it'll run a little faster. And I'll go ahead and open that up a little more. I don't want to pull it all the way out because it's going to blow oil everywhere. So we're just going to loosen it up just until it starts to leak a little bit, and then turn it back on itself. So yeah, anyway, we're going to let it drain here and give it a few minutes. It doesn't come out terribly fast, which is, I guess, is a good thing and a bad thing. It can take a few minutes. You shouldn't have to drain, shouldn't have to tilt the mower up. It looks like it's doing a pretty good job. Let me pick you up here, got you set on a tripod. So yeah, it runs out and down that little tube, and it's coming out not terribly fast, but it is coming out. So yeah, we'll let it drain, and when I get ready to take the filter off, we'll turn it back on. And actually, since we're draining it, I'll sit here and we'll talk about some specs and stuff on the mower itself. So yeah, I got my little handy dandy chair here, and let it drain. It's still coming out a little bit. So but I got the it's the model number 918011. It's the ZTX 52. It has that Kawasaki FR691V that produces that 23 horsepower. It holds about two quarts, 1.8 quarts, something like that. So anyway, I've got the filter, I got 2 quarts of oil, and that's going to be enough for to change the oil on it. And so speed wise, going forward, it'll do up to 7 miles an hour if you got it tuned right, you know, got everything adjusted on the arms and such. Reverse is 3 miles an hour. It does have that external transmission for the brake. Let's see what else. Oh, it holds about 3.5 gallons of fuel. So it does pretty good. I get through pretty much all of the yard mowing on one full tank and have a little left over for the next time I mow. So that's pretty nice. And then let's see, overall length is 73.5 inches. Width, you're looking at 169, or I'm sorry, 66.7 inches. And then the weight, it's about 294 to 295 pounds dry. No, I'm sorry, 657 pounds. That was kilograms. So 657 pounds dry. So you got to count for about 4 gallons of fuel being in there. It's a little lighter than water. So I don't know what, water's about 8 point some pounds per gallon. Fuel is probably a little lighter, I would assume in the 7 point something range, 7.9, 7.8 pounds per gallon. See, tires, you got to keep the front at about 27 to 33 psi. The rear typically are about 9 to 11 psi, which I need to get my air compressor hooked up so I can make sure I'm monitoring that. Mower deck, again, like I said, it cuts 1.5 to 4.5 inches. We cut ours at about 4. The width, again, 52-inch deck. Yeah, so that's just some specs on it. I was trying to look to see if there's anything else that would be interesting. Oh, warranty. The ZTX mowers, they have a 3-year, 300-hour warranty on from Gravely, and then the motor itself, it is warranted by Kawasaki, and it is good for 33 years also. So yeah, basically 3 years. It should, I mean, anything should be covered on there. And so far, so good. Everything looks good. Maintenance-wise, in their service book, talks about using, you know, of course, doing your general walkthrough every time you use it, checking oil, make sure it's oil in there, tire pressure, check your blades. But about every 100 hours, 50 to 100 hours is where you really start changing things and monitoring stuff like that. So essentially, I'm changing the oil at 8 hours, and then I won't need to change it again until either 100 hours or next year, whichever comes first. I'm just going to do it annually to make it easy. Even if it's 50 miles, I'm still just going to do it annually because it's going to be sitting all winter. And of course, the winter time out here, you got to put your battery on a trickle charger. So I'll have to disconnect the battery, put it on a trickle, and do that for the tractor as well, just so that it doesn't die out. The last battery in the old mower, it died. Had to buy a new one. Hydraulic oils and filters for the transmission, that says every 400 hours. When it gets to that point, I may run it in and let them service it all over, because it'll have quite a few hours on it by that point, and I'll just have them go through it and make sure everything looks good. I haven't even looked for grease zerks yet. Sometimes around the front wheel, there are some grease zerks on mowers. They didn't mention anything to me, but I do need to look for them to see, just out of curiosity, and see if they do have any. It looks like yeah, there is a grease zerk on the front wheels. I need to make sure I grease those for sure, and just go through it and make sure everything's greased like it's supposed to. But yeah, the oil looks, we'll go over here and check the oil, make sure it's draining. We'll pull the filter off and then see where we're at. All right, so we got the oil. It looks like it's pretty much done. I'm gonna go ahead and just tighten this drain plug back down. If Mitchell, if you're watching this is how men do it. They don't use gloves. I see you using them gloves at work. I don't know if that's something they taught you in the Marines or what, so you stay pretty. But anyway, we don't use gloves around here. And so we're gonna tighten that up. Sorry, man, I had to say that. So yeah, that's tight. It doesn't have to be super tight. It is plastic, so you don't want to strip it out. So we're just going to pop that tubing off. Yep, pop that tubing off. Let it sit there, and we'll let it drain out. Now we're going to undo the oil filter. Just counterclockwise. We'll set another paper towel. We'll pull this tubing out, and then put another paper towel under there. So I do have some paper towels from the house. I'm just going to stick these down here, catch any oil that comes out of the filter. Hopefully that'll slow it down. So we're just going to reach down here and we're just going to pop that loose. Well, maybe not. Let me grab my oil filter wrench. Hang on. Alright, so we got the oil filter wrench on here. It's just one of the Craftsman's with the rubber band style. And you can just fully adjustable. You just keep working it. There. I don't know why they put them on there so tight from the factory like that. There's more oil in that booger than I thought there was. I'll sit that down there. Get some more towels down there. Just let it catch up as much as it can. Try to keep from making a mess too bad. Well, that's nice and clean. The oil doesn't look, let's see. Yeah, there's nothing in the oil, no metal shavings, nothing like that, so that's always a good thing. It's just dripping a little bit, so we're going to let that drip out. I'm going to go grab some more towels from the house real quick. So, got some towels, gonna wipe it off. Make sure it's all clean. It's not the ideal place for it to be, but it'll work. Okay, so that's nice and clean. So now what we'll do is, got the fresh oil filter and the oil. So the oil filter that we use is this Kawasaki oil filter, part number 49065-0721. These little boogers are expensive. It's 20 bucks for that thing. And the oil that I'm using is just this Connectix 10W40. Any 10W40 will work, but I was there and that's what they had, so I grabbed it. It wasn't terribly much different than just going to AutoZone for the oil. So I need to stock up on 10W40, and I may actually switch to 2050 just because we have the temperature out here. It's so hot. That way it doesn't burn maybe as much oil. So I don't know, we'll see how this does over a whole year, maybe next year. But dipping your finger in the oil, get a little bit to put on the seal, make sure it gets nice and lubricated so it doesn't stick to the facet, and then we're going to put it on there. Just make sure you don't cross thread it, all that good stuff. Whenever you're screwing something into a motor. It's kind of nice. They're not super slick. They got a little texture to them so you can grip them. So basically go to contact. So contact is right there. And now we're just going to go about another half turn, maybe 3/4, just depending on how it feels. So let's see. That Kawasaki emblem. Let's see, so kept my index finger on where I had it, so I'm gonna actually get 3/4 of a turn out of that one. So we'll just leave it at 3/4 turn. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna get these oil rags out. And it does have a little oil down there, so I'm just gonna wipe it up. Make sure everything's nice and clean. I want to have a mess with dust and grass and everything else sticking down here. I do have to wash it off. It's been building up. Looks like a little bit ran down where it was supposed to, actually, so that's not too bad. So we'll leave that there. Now, time to put it in. I do have a filter, or a funnel, sorry. Make sure there's no dust or anything in there, and we're going to fill this bad boy up. So we got a filter on, our drain plug's tight, so we shouldn't have any leaking. And we're just going to fill her up. I think it would be easier to have one of those things where you suck the oil out instead of having to drain it. Make life a lot easier to stick it down in there and suck it all out instead of having to do all this draining and stuff. I've never really liked doing that. And there was one. We'll give that a second. And then we'll put that second one in there. Well, most of it, and then I'll check it to see where we are in case there was any residual left over in there. Alright. I think it was 1.8 if you didn't change the filter. If you do change the filter, it's 2.1. So there should be just enough. About a third left. Alright, so now I'm ready to start it. I got it in idle. See if it'll start with the seat up. I've never done that before, but let's give it a shot and see what happens. So flip it over to start, and we're just going to turn it. Alright, so it'll crank with the seat up, we know that. So now I'm just going to check the oil again, see where we're sitting. So pull it out, wipe it off, because it was down in there. So now we're just going to sit it in there, don't screw it in, pull it back out and check it. And we're about half, so we can put the rest of that oil in there. And I'm going to sit that right there, grab my funnel again, and we're going to just pour the rest of this oil in there. And this does actually contain zinc. Apparently it helps with the wear, and actually I guess as a lubricant. So I had never seen this before, but hopefully it'll do the job. Alright, let that drain in there. I'm going to take this funnel out. Alright, I'm just going to wipe that off a little bit. Keeps crap from getting down in there. And we'll double check the oil level now. Sit it on there, pull it out, and we're right at full. Perfect. And so we'll screw that back on, and I'll get this stuff cleaned up, and then it's actually oddly enough going to rain again today. So in between bands, I'm going to get this yard mowed, and I'm actually going to strap y'all on and on my head actually, and I'm going to ride y'all while I mow, so y'all can see kind of, you know, just mowing the property and see what that looks like. Should take about 30 minutes or so, so that'll be a separate video. So yeah, anyway, that was changing the oil.